Check. Okay, so it's been a long time coming for me to actually make this video. I've mentioned the notebook a few times. I've mentioned back when we were talking about manifestation to keep good notes. And today we're going to go over how we can utilize the notebooks to help us measure self-development. You see, in the last video, I was talking about how do you know if you're really developing yourself other than just being in self-development and beginning to work on yourself? What really sets it apart? How do you measure success in that way? How do you measure development in that way? And so what we have to do is we have to start journaling. And simply enough, you'll understand what I mean, especially after you get a few journals, especially when you can go back, you can compare. Either way, let's just get in the video and I can explain everything throughout it. Okay, so one of the times that I've also mentioned journaling is with dream journaling, with dream work. Start writing down your dreams in the morning right after you wake up so you start getting in the habit of remembering them. And so this is one of the first things that I would put in my journal for that day. So you want to go get a journal. You want to go get like 5 of the same journal if you want them all to look the same, because you're going to go through these pretty quickly. You'll go through about like 3 to 5 within a year. Okay, so one thing I want to add that I don't know exactly where I'm going to put this in the video. I might actually just throw it back in the beginning. I don't mention it in the actual video that I just recorded, but when I was talking about using the dream journal, what I've done recently, as I said in the beginning of the video, I used to put my dreams first thing in the journal in the morning, and then I'd write about it later whenever I could come back. But sometimes there's no room, especially when you're doing all these other journaling exercises. And so recently, over the past month, I've made an effort to get a new journal specifically just for dream work. And let me tell you, it's so much easier because then I can just keep that next to my bed, and this can have its own place on the bookshelf for whenever I do my journaling exercises at night. So if you do want to do your journaling exercises in your main daily journal, great. However, there were a lot of problems that came from this. I couldn't write back on things. I'd have to reference pages, and I'd have to reference books, start labeling things. And so better thing to do is to honestly just have a book dedicated to it. So either way, we're going to get back to whatever the hell Hayden was talking about. And so what I do is I start off at the top. I'll write the date. Let's say we'll go with today. I'm actually recording this on Thursday. This is the secret to how I get videos out every Sunday. And if you do study astrology, you can incorporate planetary symbolism into it, because we'll go over the second reason why I use astrology in my journal. You don't have to. You can take different things out. This is just how I do it. But either way, it'd be Thursday. And then I would write the time. I think it's like 6:14 p.m. or something like that. And so after that, I would start writing where all the planets are. Now, you don't have to use this in your journals. I use this for whenever I'm reading back, especially if I'm manifesting something, if I'm using sigil magic, or whatever magic you're using, whatever operations you're doing. I've been able to look back and seen where my strengths and weaknesses are. I've seen that it was really good to work at a time where Mercury was transit my natal Mercury, especially when working with Mercury, obviously enough. But you'll see these things throughout reading it. If you don't understand what I mean and you're interested, start studying astrology. But either way, we're going to move on to the next thing. Next is the day's events. This is just where we explain the day. You don't need to go over your thoughts or too much about your emotions. This is more of a chronological order of you woke up, you worked from this time to this time, you went and ran a few errands, or if you bumped into somebody that you used to know. Just the events that happen throughout the day. Next, the heading is going to be titled Emotions, or you could just put mood. This is where you write about your mood and your overall emotions throughout the day. Now I can give you a hint. Since the moon rules over mood, you can hear the similarity there. Definitely look back and start tracking different emotions where the moon takes its cycle throughout the month, the lunar month. This is why, either way, this is not what this video is supposed to be about. Moving on. After emotions is thoughts. All your logical thoughts about the way things were. Like if your boss was a certain way to you, and let's say created a certain emotion, what do you think about it? Like other than like I'm angry, like let your thoughts out. You don't need to be nice. You don't need to be mean. You don't have to be a certain way. This is all individual. This is your journal. Don't show this to anybody so that you're just completely transparent with it, so to speak. And so there you write the thoughts, and then after that, you write insights. Now this subheading might not always be filled. You might not fill up any of these, honestly. You'll always, do the mood one, but I usually keep these three to kind of be in their own thing. There's the how I felt, what I thought about it, and kind of like when you get the insight of, okay, here's what I need to do about this. Like if you find out that you're really happy and your thoughts throughout the day were about your future, you might realize that whenever you look a little bit to the future, you start thinking optimistically about the future, you feel happier. Or let's say you felt sad. That's all you put, felt sad. Right? Let's say it was because a bunch of your friends stabbed you in the back. They all did you dirty, the entire group, whoever it is. And so your thoughts are on your friends, right? Friends backstabbing, whatever you want to put down. And then if you want to have like a little get together with yourself, a little journal meditation, you kind of work with these and you get an insight of maybe I should just find new friends or occupy myself with better things to do and not emotionally invest myself in those types of friends so that when shit happens, you aren't sad. So you gain the insight from looking at both of these, but sometimes you might just start writing the journal and you already know what your insight is for the day. And so still just go ahead and write it out to get into a practice. Next heading is rituals and exercises. This can literally be anything from a daily ritual such as, let's say you're in drill and every day you wake up, whenever you get out of bed, you do the different movements to walking to the bathroom to go brush your teeth. If that's a daily ritual of yours, under here you would write whatever you called that ritual. You list out the different things you do. If you worked out, if you did any type of meditation, any yoga, even you can write down things that you prayed for. This is a great place to put down whenever you're doing a sigil. You put it down there. Whenever you do a candle spell and you want to take notes, down here in the rituals and exercises. Any ritual or any exercise that you use to better yourself, anything that you keep doing, you put it in here. You're going to cycle out a lot of ones. I do that. I keep some. I trade some off. I'm going to go over a few. See, under the rituals and exercises of the day, we'll just do this for now. See, let's say you list out, you did a certain meditation, let's say. Also keep in mind that this journal is a daily ritual in of itself. You're going to be writing in it every single day. One of the things you can put under here is exercises. You can put goals that you accomplished, things that you accomplished for the day. See, I would do this rather than do a goal setting list under this heading, because if you're going to set yourself a goal list under the rituals and exercises, then you better get it done within that day, because this is a daily journal. You're going to keep moving on. You're going to move on. That's the point of this. And so you can write down goals that have been accomplished, because sometimes they don't just take a day. Sometimes they take complete years. So you can write that. Another one that I really like is what I learned today. Now, I had a social studies teacher in history class. Fuck! What? So I had a history teacher, social studies teacher, whatever you want to call it, back in middle school. His name was actually Mr. Purvis. If you're out there watching this, Mr. Purvis, thank you for this. This has actually gone a long way in my life. But he had us do something at the end of class in our journals, in our daily journals, at the very end of whatever we were doing, because sometimes, like, whenever we were doing a pop quiz, he'd be like, open to today's blank page in your journal and do it in here. But then at the end of the day, we had a heading of what did I learn today, or what I learned today. And we'd spend 5 minutes writing about what you learned today. Force yourself to actually sit there and think the whole 5 minutes and keep writing. Now, you can go longer than 5 minutes if you want, but at least do 5 minutes if you're going to add that exercise. You see, these can all be interchanged. This is where you add whatever the hell you want to do. Let's say you do your morning Sudoku or whatever you want to call it. You could put that under here. Let's say you casted a sigil, and then I'd put the statement of intent right here. You write your statement of intent down. You write down whatever this sigil ended up looking like. Whatever you do, whatever the sigil ended up looking like, you write it down. You write down the time that you did it, and obviously it'll be in a daily journal, so it'll be for that day. See, all you do is have to do the time. So if you want to, wow. So you're going to want to plan it planetarily, as I went over in the sigil video. It helps a lot. However, as I've said before, magic's not rigid. You can definitely break the rules. But either way, this is where all of these go in this journal. There's so much that can be put into here. You can look up online on Google just all kinds of psychological, like reflection prompts, prompts for developing yourself. There's tons of self-development journaling exercises out there, and you could totally make up your own, and you have to test it too. See, this is how you measure it. See, if you have an idea, put it in your journal and then start testing it out. You see, believe it or not, some of the things that I teach on this channel is something that I did in my journaling exercises that I did over and over, and seeing the difference between what worked, what didn't work, what gave me the most insight, what screwed me, because you got to look at the good and the bad. There's good in the bad and there's bad in the good. But after watching this, start your journal, add whatever you want to it. This is going to be what you put work into. This is yours. This is your journal. So don't let me just create the entire rubric, as I kind of, left out what to put here. What your daily exercise, what your daily ritual, what you do to develop yourself daily is your choice. See, you can totally, like, if you want to become a basketball player, daily exercise could be shoot 500 3-pointers. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be just meditation. It doesn't just have to be something, like Sudoku. It doesn't have to be a sigil. It doesn't have to be just a journaling exercise. It could be things that you've accomplished. It can be something physical that you do. Go and shoot 500 3-pointers, But don't put something like, going to lose weight. Like, if you're trying to lose weight, what I would do is I would put down the exercises that you did for that day. You see, what this does is that it shows you what's helping you in different areas of your life. You see, obviously, if you lose a bunch of weight and you just went from your old exercise routine and switched to a new one about 2 months ago, and you look back and you realize how much you've lost, how much weight you've lost, how much muscle you've gained, if that's what you're trying to do, you start noticing where your little points are, where your strengths and weaknesses are. Not only this, but you can take this into account with your money, with your emotional life, with your relationships, not just your physical life. It goes into the 4 elements, the whole fire, air, water, and earth. Which, as bullshit as it sounds, there's truth to it. We need to have balance. Think about if you took away the laws of physics. What if there was no friction? We would just be we would be flying everywhere. Like, I don't know exactly how to think about that. But either way, do this what you want with it. And remember that this journal is a daily ritual in of itself. So you don't have to put it in the rituals and exercises. But if one day you don't want to write anything, you can totally flip open, just at least write. Because, if you've already made a page for Friday, let's say you already did your exercises and blah, blah, blah. You did all your writing for Wednesday. And today's Thursday, and let's say you don't even want to write down the date. You're like, I don't want to write. Or you can just put that you don't want to write, you really want to watch Netflix right now, and this is just going to piss you off. You're just not in the mood or something. At least just write that down. And then on the next day, move on. And if you still don't, you can say, I don't want to write, blah, blah, blah. And then when you do come back, and you start actually doing your journaling exercises daily, you can look back and see what was going on in your life. And, you didn't want to do your journaling exercises for the day. You see, you will start to be able to pick things out of it. I can't really explain exactly everything that you'll get from doing this. However, it's really cool though, because you figure it out all by yourself, and there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong, because it's just what you're doing. You're just, writing down the results and you're tracking it. And so as long as you're doing this and you're looking back and forth and you're figuring shit out, you can actually measure your self-development. Take this into account with whatever you're doing. If all you want to do is just write the date, what you did for the day, and what you can do better, great, you can do that. But I just wanted to give the importance of having a daily journal. This is for you. There's no cheating. There's no shortcuts. This is all 100% reflection. And so, if you do try to cheat yourself, you will realize it. You will come back and realize where you cheated yourself. I'm not going to explain everything that you'll get from this. I want you to go out and start doing daily journaling exercises, look up your own, start your own. But if you do, at least commit to it for a couple months. You'll see exactly what I mean after you start accumulating your journals, which should only take about 4 or 5 months to actually finish a journal or two. So after you do that, come back here, let me know some of your experiences, some of the things that you learned from yourself. Maybe you've got a new exercise to add on the rituals and exercises. So either way, this is finally how Hayden does his journal. And now you can apply anything that you want from it, or you can take away, you can start your own thing. Either way, if you want to watch my last video, they'll be right over here. Hopefully, I always screw it up when I end up putting it in the video. Click somewhere on the screen and you'll end up subscribing if you're sexy, of course. And with that being said, I will for you all to prosper and have a great day.